The final race of 2024 in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup has arrived on Sunday morning here in Malaysia, and this is what happened on Saturday afternoon yesterday. Ogiwara from the middle of the front row gains the whole shot into turn 1 ahead of Matani, the champion, but this is what happened on lap 1 up at turn 4. Matani setting the precedent early doors, and this is what happened all race long. A fantastic fight at the front between 5 riders in the end. Down into turn 9 we saw plenty of moves coming by the Japanese riders at the front. Hafiy was there as well, but a technical issue saw the Malaysian drop out of this fight for the victory that went all the way down to the final corner. Matani on the inside, Ogiwara getting it a little bit out of shape, backing it into the final corner and lost out on a podium. This was the run to the line. Matani crossed the line to finish P1 for the 6th time in 2024. Another phenomenal win for the Japanese rider, and that is why he is champion this season. What a race that unfolded then yesterday. We've come to expect it in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. What a season it's been, and this is the curtain closer, and what a circuit to do it at as well, at the Petronas Sepang International Circuit. A huge day coming up in MotoGP, of course, later on this afternoon. A title on the line. There's another title on the line in the Asia Talent Cup. Matani wrapped that up back in Thailand last weekend, did the number 2, but there's a raging fight going on for P2 overall in the standings, so we'll keep an eye on that one. And we were treated to a phenomenal battle yesterday. Temperatures are soaring. Even walking to the commentary box, only a 5-minute walk and through a tunnel, but even so, temperatures really scorching out there. Humidity high as always. The fans flocking in, of course, for the action today, and what a way to start the day here on Super Sunday. The riders already out there. Different conditions to yesterday. Slightly overcast, still very warm, of course. Humidity high in Malaysia. Tough conditions yesterday, but I think today, this morning, is going to be even tougher. The sun is blazing down, it's super warm, well over 30 degrees already, so tough conditions for these riders to cope with this morning, but they've been used to it all season long, racing in Asia. My name's Elliot York. For the final time, Jack Hafiy joins me in the commentary box to run you through this one. Jack, a phenomenal race yesterday, as we've been used to in the Asia Talent Cup. Again, won by Matani. 4 Japanese riders at the front. Were you surprised to see Matani come out on top? I think we're just used to seeing it by now. 6 wins now for the number 2 in 2024.
Yeah, followed the same script that we've been reading all year long. Although Matani had gone 3 races without a win, whilst he was in contention for the Cup, you can understand that he was maybe slightly more concerned with making sure he had the points that he needed to have it all wrapped up. But now, without any pressure, without that weight of expectation on his shoulders, he's riding in a more relaxed and free manner. And in the end, although the timesheets tell you that the top 4 were covered by well under half a second, just 2/10 in the end, it was more comfortable than that suggests. You never thought that Matani didn't have it under control.
Always placed himself in the right position coming into the final few laps. Earlier on in Malaysia, when we visited here a few months ago in the Asia Talent Cup for round 2, Matani did able in the closing stages to extend his lead and win pretty comfortably, especially in race 2. Wasn't all that comfortable yesterday for Matani, but as Jack says, he was in control throughout, took the lead back whenever he lost it. We've seen that so often this season for the champion. Doesn't allow riders to get ahead of him and get into a rhythm or let them settle into the race lead. Here he is, the number 2, his final race potentially in the Asia Talent Cup. He'll be moving on to pastures new, I'm sure, next year on the road to MotoGP. And what a talent Japan has in Matani. Only a 2nd year, remember, and he's absolutely flew to the title with 3 races to spare. 4th pole position as well. He's been an absolute demon on Saturday afternoons in the races and in qualifying, and then on Sunday mornings as well. A really deserved champion in 2024, but now it's all about, can anyone stop him from claiming a 7th win? Fantastic race yesterday. Jack mentioned the gap, 2/10 split in the top 4, and all Japanese top 4 in it would have included Hafiy, as I mentioned, the Malaysian 5th as well. Unfortunate to see the Malaysian drop out of contention through to a technical issue midway through the race, so I'm hoping, Jack, we get at least a 5-rider fight at the front, if not more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this could be quite an emotional one for Matani. You would imagine this is going to be his last race in Asia for certainly the next couple of years. for sure. The Red Bull Rookies awaits, likely the junior talent team in the Junior World Championship as well, which means that he'll have to head across to Europe and start to learn some of the iconic tracks there, whether it be Jerez, Mugello, Barcelona, Valencia, Aragon, Le Mans, all of the stops on the Red Bull Rookies circuit. That is what lies ahead for Zen Matani. And then you'd imagine, hopefully for the number 2, the next time that he's racing in Asia is when he's in the World Championship full time. I'm sure that is the plan, and that is the path that has been laid out for him now after wrapping up the 2024 Cup.
We've seen Veda Pratama, last year's winner, doing very, very well in the Red Bull Rookies Cup and in Junior GP as well. So if Zen Matani can follow in the footsteps of the Indonesian, then he'll be doing a very good job indeed. Exciting times ahead for Zen Matani. In the middle of the front row is Ryota Ogiwara. That was the first time he's been off the podium yesterday since Indonesia. A fantastic run from Ogiwara in the last couple of rounds, but just finished off the podium yesterday. Got it a little bit wrong, trying to take the lead. You can understand that, of course, going into the final corner. Easy to make a mistake at the off-camber turn 15 here in Sepang. Ogiwara will be aiming to, of course, finish second overall, but I think potentially more importantly, end the season on a high with a victory. A return to winning ways. Won in Thailand, stood on the podium as well before that. So Ogiwara is in good nick here to try and claim victory to end his season. And Farish Hafiy, the number 19, mentioned his tech issue yesterday. Unfortunate for the Malaysian rider, but the home fans coming in their thousands already this morning will be cheering on the number 19, third front row of 2024, but still no podium now in the last 6 races. His last podium was Indonesia race 1 for Farish Hafiy. So if he's going to get on the podium, he needs to do it today, and what better way to do it in front of his home fans. Did claim a podium when we last visited here in Malaysia, so he's got podium pedigree around his home circuit. But he'll be wanting to be responding well through no fault of his own yesterday, of course, but big race for Farish Hafiy starting on the front row again. As
you say, the conditions are extremely testing. It's just gone 9:42 in the morning and already it is 31 degrees out there with searing humidity as well. It is incredibly hot as I've felt it certainly since we've been here for this time in the morning. That does for Moto3, Moto2 and more so MotoGP coming up indicate that maybe there is some inclement weather en route, but the good news is for the Asia Talent Cup guys, it is bone dry, it is hot. This is it, the final race of the year. Zen Matani looking to go out in style, or can someone else pick up victory and have themselves romp towards a confidence-boosting win ahead of returning in 2025.
So we've covered off the front row then. Matani from Ogiwara from Hafiy. Spearheading row 2 is Kiandra Ramadipa on the number 7 machine. Equal best qualifying for the Indonesian rider. He finished 12 seconds away from the victory fight and the podium fight yesterday. So can Ramadipa get himself into podium contention in race 2? It's been a great season so far for Ramadipa. He still has an outside chance, of course, of claiming P2 in the overall standings, but would need a massive swing here in race 2 to claim that one, and he needs to keep Seiryu Ikegami behind him as well. Ikegami just over 10 points away, starting next to him on the grids on the number 14. The impressive Japanese rookie, 5th podium of the season was picked up by Ikegami, was so close to victory once again. Really impressed with the number 14. Had a low-key weekend in Thailand, but that can be forgiven. He is still only a rookie, but his bounce back's really strongly here in Malaysia, so intrigued to see if Ikegami can stand on the podium or potentially the top step for the second time in 2024. So here is your starting grid then for the final race of the season. Matani from Ogiwara and Hafiy is your front row. Ramadipa, Ikegami and Takahira, the rider currently occupying P2 in the overall standings. That is row 2. Row 3 is Singapong, Schmidt and Dakigan. All 3 of those riders were locked together in the fight for P5 yesterday. Ricky Henry spearheads row 4 with Takamoto and Chavan joining the Australian. Russo leads row 5 with Pratumtong and Tanashot, the 2 Thai riders. Bampro S, he's back as a wildcard rider again after wildcarding in Thailand, doing a great job as well. Zakwan, Nakib and Dave are your final grid slot riders here for the final race of 2024. What a season it's been for Zen Matani. It's been a fantastic season of racing throughout. Are we going to be treated to another spectacle here on Super Sunday in Sepang? Warm-up lap time here at the Petronas Sepang International Circuit. An intriguing race lies ahead, I'm sure. Tricky conditions, completely different to yesterday. They've not really had these conditions so far this weekend. It's been pretty overcast throughout the weekend here in Sepang. So this is new territory, let's say, this weekend anyway. 30 degrees, it certainly feels warmer than that. Tough conditions for these riders. They round turn 1 and 2 and up to turn 4. A magnificent circuit, Jack. Plenty of overtaking opportunities we saw yesterday. Slipstream coming into great effect, of course, down the 2 900-metre back straight and then back down into turn 1 as well. So this should be an interesting race, if yesterday's anything to go by.
Yeah, it's a complete circuit, got a little bit of everything. As a result, it needs rider and machine to completely be at one. It'll test the skills of these young riders. And so far, it has been Zen Matani whose skills have shone brighter than anyone else. A commanding lead in the championship. Of course, he's wrapped that up already, but will be wanting to go out in style here. He's certainly the man to beat, given his performance yesterday. We've been asking the question all year long, just how do you stop Zen Matani? They've tried to disrupt his rhythm, they've tried to ruffle his feathers, they've tried to catch him by surprise, but whatever they do, he always seems to have an answer.
Certainly does. Zen Matani, a very, very worthy champion. He's had his moments of being challenged, but more often than not, as Jack says, Zen Matani has come out on top in the battles we've seen so far in 2024. One final battle to go, though. Can his rivals stop Matani from claiming a 7th win of the season? We won't have to wait long to find out. 2 points splitting Takehira and Ogiwara for P2 in the overall standing, so pretty much whoever beats who between the two Japanese riders will claim the silver medal. Honours up for grabs there. As I say, Ramadipa 13 points clear of Ikegami in the race for P4 as well, so the Japanese rider has a big swing to turn around if that's going to be the case. But if he stands on the podium and Ramadipa can't quite get himself into the podium fight, that's an interesting battle to keep your eyes on as well. So the title might be won by the number 2, Zen Matani, but plenty to watch out for here as we go racing for the final time this season. 11 laps coming up here at the Petronas Sepang International Circuit. What a way to start a monumental day here in the MotoGP World Championship. Hafiy looking to respond on the number 19 machine. The home crowd are hopeful of a Malaysian podium at least. Will we be hearing the Malaysian national anthem in 11 laps time? We'll wait to find out who's going to get the launch down into turn 1. A long run down into turn 1. Ogiwara clearly pumped up, the Japanese rider. He knows this is an important race to try and claim P2 in the standings. He got the whole shot yesterday from the middle of the front row. Lights on, lights out, and we are away racing for the final time. It looks like a great start once again from the number 16 of Ogiwara. Matani got to get a better launch than he did yesterday, but look at the number 16 of Ogiwara and Hafiy on the number 19, the Malaysian. Matani's getting a little bit swallowed up here down into turn 1. A great start from the number 9 of Takehira as well, but Ogiwara, a comfortable hole shot down into turn 1, runs it a little bit wide but picks up a late apex, no such troubles. So Ogiwara then from the middle of the front row, just like he did yesterday, has pounced into P1 straight away. Matani down to P4.
Yeah, great start from Ogiwara. God, he was pumped up on the line, wasn't he? He was revving himself up and he got the jump as well. Completely outdragged Matani, and it is a long old run from the grid down to the opening corner. And in the end, Matani just got swallowed up from the likes of Hafiy and Takehira, but that won't worry him though. He's already starting to make progress, up to 3rd spot, now tucked in behind the home hero and Ogiwara. Do not be surprised if Matani slowly but surely makes his way through to the front of this field. I'll be flabbergasted if anyone is able to break clear as Hafiy tests out track limits and a little bit more. Luckily for the greenkeepers here, that grass has been nicely chopped down for them, courtesy of the Malaysian.
Yeah, a little bit risky there from the number 19. What a start though from Ogiwara. Matani looking up the inside at turn 9 already. He was down to P4 a few corners ago. He's picked off Takehira for P3. And now he's up into 2nd place ahead of the Malaysian. So Matani responding well. He responded at turn 4 on lap 1 yesterday, but wasn't sluggish off the line by any means. But the slipstream came into effect down into turn 1, but already the champion is on a march. Ogiwara though has got into his rhythm nice and early. The gap over the line will be interesting, but as we come into Hafiy though there through turn 12 wide again, so Hafiy just a little bit erratic on this opening lap, just needs to settle down slightly, does the Malaysian, and get his head down and try and keep Takehira behind him. Takehira, a better start than he got yesterday. Had work to do, Takehira, on the number 9 machine to try and bridge the gap, and he did that ever so well yesterday, but he's given himself less work to do already in this opening few laps. So good work from Takehira, who has his chief opponent in the title race in terms of P2 overall. Ogiwara just ahead of him on the road. So completing that one then, Ogiwara from Matani, from Hafiy, from Takehira. A long way to go, 10 laps to go once we cross the line. Ogiwara leading.
Further back, strong starts from Archie Schmidt, who of course had a debut podium last time out. He really has taken a step forward and taken a step much closer to the leading group over the last week or so. Alphonse Dakigan, after misfortune, I think he's probably the unluckiest rider on the grid. He always seems to be involved in some incidents, more often than not through his own fault, but a good start for the rider flying the flag for the Philippines. He's up to 7th at the moment.
Yeah, Dakigan managed to get his best finish of the season yesterday, was embroiled in that fascinating fight for a top 5 finish, finished P6, did the Philippines rider. Can the riders who finished in that P5 battle keep tabs with the riders who finished inside the top 4 yesterday? Already though, the gap is building. Ogiwara has got into his rhythm nice and early. Matani has bridged the gap already, as we expected the champion to do so. Hafiy just losing touch slightly. Takehira keeping tabs on them, but Ramadipa, Schmidt, Dakigan, Ikegami hasn't had the best of starts on the number 14. Work to do as Matani makes his move up into the lead through turn 7. A fantastic move through there. You don't see that all too often in racing at turn 7 here at Sepang, and we saw this yesterday very often indeed down into turn 9. Ogiwara trying to hang it around the outside of Matani, but the number 2 leads for the first time in this race. A fantastic move from the young Japanese rider.
I think there's going to be some alarm bells ringing here, Elliot. Doesn't look like this is going to be the sort of race that we saw unfold yesterday. At the moment, these top 2 just look to have an edge, and I think Matani feels that there's an opportunity to really stretch out this leading group, which is already at breaking point in terms of the elastic holding them all together. I think we could have a bit of a runaway leader potentially. As Matani goes grass tracking on the exit of turn 14. Dearie me, that's as close as you want in terms of going out and testing track limits. Luckily for Matani, we've not had too much rain over the past couple of days, otherwise that really could have been sketchy, but luckily for him, his motocross skills are clearly just as good as his circuit racing skills. Yeah,
managed to keep it upright first and foremost. Good job from Matani, who crosses the line in P1.
Not the first time this year he's done that as well. He was testing out track limits and was on the grass down into the final corner at Thailand just 1 week ago.
Yeah, about 3 of them going into the final corner on the final lap there. That was pretty sketchy stuff over in Thailand when we did have plenty of rain as well. So Matani showing off his motocross skills, as Jack says, to lead the race here for the second time. 9 laps to go, and after that slight mistake from Matani just cost Ogiwara a little bit of time as well. That's allowed Hafiy and Takehira to bridge the gap and close in to make it an 8-wheeler at the front going into turn 4 for the 3rd time in this race. Just looking further back, Ikegami has now climbed his way back up into P5, 1.4 seconds off the lead group. But we're going to get a replay of Matani running wide at the penultimate corner, but this was him responding after running wide. Shoves it up the inside of the number 16, his compatriot Ogiwara. Nicely done down at turn 15, the off-camber final corner, where we see so much drama here at Sepang. A tight hairpin at the end of the lap really gives an opportunity for the riders to make a lunge and make passes. So the top 4 then locked together. Ogiwara potentially showing a wheel down at turn 9, but not this time around, as Ramadipa, I think in the background, was threatening to overtake Ikegami. So the riders in the chasing group need to box a little bit clever here if they're going to try and bridge the gap. We did see riders able to bridge the gap yesterday, Takehira included in that. So it's not all done just yet, but with 8.5 laps to go, they need to get their head down, try not to ruffle each other's feathers up too much if we're going to catch these leaders, because you can already see Matani, once he's hit the front again, he's got superb pace.
Here they go then, down the back straight with soon to be 8 laps remaining here of this 5.5 kilometre circuit, and it is Matani who still leads the way, pulls over to the left-hand side. Ogiwara has a big look to the right, where there is a big screen up there just to get an indication and an idea of how close things are at the front. Well, he didn't need to have a look at the big screen, because moments later he got a full picture of just how close things are at the front, because through go both Takahira and Hafiy into second and third, and that is important, as you can see, in terms of the fight for second and third in the Asia Talent Cup this year. The riders we need to keep an eye on are Takahira, who's just punched in a 2-minute 16.6. That's only a tenth away from the fastest ever lap on an Asia Talent Cup machine around this place, and to move through to second at the time was good enough to take second in the cup standings, but it changes in the blink of an eye. Ogiwara responds, and now second is his. That live championship is going to change quite a few times, I think, over the next 8 laps.
Yeah, I think it is, and we've seen that so often in the Asia Talent Cup this year. 1 minute you're leading, one corner you're leading, the next in terms of Matani, he's back down to P4 from leading a couple of corners ago. 2.7 now the gap from the top 4 back to the chasers, so the chasing pack, including Ikegami, Rabadipa, Singapong and Schmidt and Russo as well, a big gaggle of riders there, aren't closing the gap to these top 4, but still not all over just yet. 7.5 laps to go. These riders in the top 4 are going to battle away, so if the riders can just get their head down behind, all is not lost in terms of the podium fight. But in the podium fight we've got at the minute, as Hafiy again runs wide on the number 19, just got to be a little bit careful now as the Malaysian. He's ran wide a couple of times, as Matani potentially again showing a wheel up the inside at turn 9, but not this time around. Here is the chasing group then. Ikegami not quite had the pace as he did yesterday. Remember, finished second in the race yesterday, did the number 14. He's got Ramadipa and Singapong for company, so if Ikegami could just get his head down, the riders just took him behind the number 14, potentially they can bridge that gap, but it is growing ever so slightly again on this lap. They've lost another couple of tenths, so the group of 4 at the front are setting a fantastic pace, which is now led by Ogiwara. Hafiy in second, Matani in third, and Takahira in fourth. But this is where it all changed on the last lap. Slipstream City down from turn 14, get a good run up into turn 15, and then you go back down the same ribbon of tarmac into turn 1, 900 metres, as Matani shoves it up the inside of the Malaysian into P2. So he dropped down to P4, did Matani, but within a lap he's back up to P2. We've seen this so often from the champion, but with 7 laps to go, it's Ogiwara from Matani, Hafiy and Takahira, but that's about to change, you feel.
Here we go, in towards the first corner here with now 7 laps remaining. It is Ogiwara that leads the way, but not for long. Here comes the home hero, latest on the brakes. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can. It's Hafiy that leads. He's been on the podium already this year, just 2 third-place finishes to his name. What a dream it would be if he's to round up this Asia Talent Cup Series with victory on home soil. Matani, he knows how to win. He's got 6 to his name already this year. Ogiwara has tasted success on 2 occasions and wants it again. And Takahira, somehow, he's been on the podium 6 times already this year, but just hasn't been able to get one over the line yet. Still waiting for that first win of the year, so he's desperate to round out the year with victory. There are storylines everywhere, all 4 of them desperate to try and take top spot, but I think of all of them, the most determined, the man with the biggest desire to try and be on the top spot, it's got to be the number 19, the man with that yellow helmet with the Malaysian flag atop of his eye, the 19 of Hafiy.
Absolutely, especially after yesterday, of course, through no fault of his own. His podium and win chances ended up at turn 4 midway through the race, but no such issue so far for Hafiy as he dives up the inside of Matani into turn 9 once again. So the Malaysian leads once more here in Sepang with 6.5 laps to go. These are the 2 we're keeping an eye on in terms of the championship battle for P2. Ogiwara currently leading Takahira, and if it stays like that, Ogiwara would claim the silver medal and demote Takahira to the bronze. But as Jack says, it's so surprising that Takahira hasn't won a race already. He's been in the lead group more often than not. He's been super consistent, just hasn't got that victory over the line, hasn't won in 2024, picked up a victory in Malaysia last year, of course, in 2023, so he's going to want to repeat that to end the year on a high, the number 9, as we go up to the final corner. 6 and 1 corner to go here, and Matani looks like he's going to threaten to take the lead for a moment. Ogiwara, though, late on the brakes down into the final corner. Takahira up the inside of Matani as well. This is where it all is potentially going to come down to. Once again, Hafiy drops to P4, but as we start another lap here in Sepang, it's Ogiwara from Matani, Takahira and Hafiy, but not for long, Jack. Down into turn 1 we go for the, well, not the final time, that's coming up, as Hafiy late on the brakes into turn 1, overtakes 3 riders in 1. Job done for Hafiy. Brilliant move down into turn 1 once again from the Malaysian rider.
You get the sense we could really save some fuel here and just bring it all the way down to the last lap already, because they're going to swap, they're going to change over the next 5.5 laps, but then you just get that feeling it's going to come down to that back straight, that final corner. And I have to be frank, just looking at the way in which things changed on the run down to the final corner last time around, I don't know if there is the perfect place to position yourself.
Well, we saw yesterday, that's a shame for Archie Schmidt, the Australian, claimed his debut podium last time out in Thailand, has gone down at turn 2, the number 15 in that battle. Great to see Archie back up on his feet, of course, that's the main thing. Potentially going to get a replay of what happened down there at turn 2. So unfortunate for the Australian, a disappointing end to an impressive season for Archie Schmidt. We'll see if he finishes inside the top 10 overall once the race finishes, but that's a shame for the Australian. A fantastic weekend in Thailand, a promising one this time around in Malaysia too. And speaking of Malaysia, Hafiy sticking up the inside, but a little bit of a shake ahead. It cost him out the run at turn 9, a slight run up the hill through turn 10 and into turn 11. But as we were saying, it seems like it's all going to come down to that final run into the final corner. It did yesterday. It's difficult to imagine the riders trying to pick a perfect place to park themselves. Matani did lead into the final corner yesterday and led into this corner, turn 14, and managed to get the job done. So it is possible, but as we're going to see again here up to turn 15, Slipstream City, Ogiwara though has got a fantastic run out at turn 14. That's the gap you're going to try and need onto the final lap to try and cover yourself off.
Well, Matani will have learned a lesson there. He tried to sneak up the inside as we rolled through 13 and 14, taking a much tighter line. I thought he'd managed to get up the inside of Ogiwara, who took a much more sweeping line and was able to close off the front wheel of Matani and not only hold on to first place, but then, as you rightly say, with that faster sweeping line, he was able to get a great drag down the back straight. And Matani really compromised his exit, and certainly will have learned a lesson that that is not the plan and that is not the thing to do on the final lap if he's looking to try and make a move for the lead.
Takahira then sweeps across the braking zone into turn 1. Thought he had pounced into the race lead, but Matani, last of the late breakers down into turn 1, as we see Archie Schmidt walking over there. This is what happened down at turn 2. A nasty high side on the exit. That is not what you like to see. Thankfully for the young Australian, he was straight back on his feet, so good stuff there for Schmidt. Great to see these all okay, because that's a nasty one. We've seen a couple of crashes there already. Never nice to see a high side, and sometimes the slower sort of off-throttle high sides can be the ones that can catch you out. So great to see Archie back upon his feet. A disappointing end to the season, as I say, but it's been a promising one for the young Australian.
This is not a chess match, I'll tell you that. 4.5 laps to go. Everyone's had an opportunity at leading as Ogiwara manages to squeeze up the inside of both Matani and Takahira. What a move that is through turns 7 and 8. Brilliant stuff from Ogiwara. Backs it into 9 as well. That is a rider with quite a bit of confidence at the moment.
I tell you what, that was absolutely stunning. We saw yesterday he was getting a great run out of turn 8 and into turn 9, was constantly on the outside of Matani, trying to go around the outside at turn 9, which is a very difficult task, of course. So he's clearly very, very confident through turn 7 and 8. That was a fantastic double move. He can do that on the last lap, but he has shown his card now. The riders are going to be aware that Ogiwara is strong through that turn 7 and 8. As Hafiy showed a wheel there at turn 14. We were saying last time around, Matani did that and it cost him on the exit, and it's going to cost Hafiy again as Ogiwara takes a decent lead up into the final corner. So he's going to keep that for now. When we cross the line, there's going to be 4 laps to go, but you can see there Hafiy compromises exit and he's got swallowed up by Matani. Takahira is going to have a go as well into the final corner on the number 2. Sorry, Takahira on the number 9. Matani having a go on the number 2 into the final corner. So Hafiy goes from P2 to P4 in the last couple of corners. A potential dress rehearsal for the number 19 with 4 laps to go here in Malaysia.
It is an interesting line that Ogiwara runs through with 13 and 14. It's much wider than everyone else. There is an opportunity there. I think on the final lap, he'll be a bit naughty, but if you just let the brakes off, there is a gap there and you can squeeze your way through. However, if you can't get it done, like we've seen on the last couple of laps, then it completely compromises your exit and will almost hand Ogiwara the victory, because there's no chance they'll be able to tuck into the slipstream and get any kind of a draft to be able to make a move into the final corner. So it's a high-risk strategy, but on a final lap, there's definitely a gap there.
Absolutely, and you've got to get creative in the Asia Talent Cup with a group of riders all fighting for the same piece of tarmac. If you can come up with something that is out of the ordinary, like Ogiwara did there, that's potentially going to hand you the race victory. And for Ogiwara, potentially, as you can see there, live championship standings, the number 16 currently occupying P2 in the overall standings, but it is the top two in this championship that we're going to keep an eye on, second and third in this race. Takehira and Ogiwara going for it. The number 16 rider, fantastic through there. I don't think anyone's going to get an opportunity down into turn 9 to overtake the number 16. Overtaken, though, is what the Malaysian Hafiy is going to do on the number 2 of Matani. So the champion is demoted to P4 with 3.5 laps to go, but don't expect him to stay there for too long.
So Ogiwara that leads the way, as he has done for a couple of laps now. This is the longest period since the opening couple of laps that any rider's been able to just control the race at the front, although Takehira is closing now. Bit of a gap before we get Hafiy and Matani, as now Takehira looks for that gap under the inside, but thinks better of it. Allows himself to try and get a good drive out of the penultimate corner. Now buried beneath the bubble, hoping that he can drag his way up towards the rear wheel of Takehira. Here come Hafiy and Matani as well. They'll know here with 3 laps remaining, they can't get too focused on one another and need to concentrate at the job at hand. Only a quarter of a second, but that can quickly become half a second, and then suddenly you're scrambling around trying to catch up with the leading duo, but no such problems. Although it's a little bit more separated than it has been on previous laps, that 4 is still as one at the front.
Certainly is. Just keep an eye on Ikegami. He claimed well over a second on the top 4 on the previous lap before they crossed on the last lap, but set a similar pace to them on that time around. So Ikegami, I think it's going to be too late for the number 14 to join the fight. He's broken clear of the race for P6. So Ikegami going well in the latter stages, but he's not going to be able to pounce and get his wheels into this top 4 fight in the victory battle that is raging here with 3 laps to go. Zen Matani back up into P2. He dropped to P4 half a lap ago. We did say he wasn't going to stay there for long, and the champion is making moves here. 2.5 laps to go. This is where it really starts to get interesting. This is where the riders are going to start to show their hands here in the final couple of laps. Matani up into P2, shadowing Ogiwara, his Japanese rider, fellow Japanese rider. This is where Ogiwara is strong though. Can Matani show a wheel up the inside at turn 7? No. Through turn 7 and 8 we go then, and down into turn 9. Plenty of moves coming down into the turn 9 hairpin. Can Matani make a move on Ogiwara just to disrupt the number 16's rhythm? No. Line astern through turn 9 this time around. It's all going to come down to who can get the run out of turn 14 and up into turn 15, and then place yourself down into turn 1 throughout the rest of the lap. This is all building up nicely to a last lap bonanza here in Malaysia for the final time in 2024. This is what we wanted, a 4-rider fight at the front, including a home hero. This is going to be special. Yeah,
the maths are very simple as well in that fight for second and third in the Cup. At the moment, as you can see, as he's leading the race, Ogiwara will have it, but there's only 2 points between them. Coming into it, it is Takehira on 161, Ogiwara on 159. So basically, whoever takes the checkered flag first in front of the other will be the rider that sits second in the Cup standings and will get that silver medal. As with nearly 2 laps to go, Matani, for the first time in a while, shows his cards and hits the front.
Just proves then, if you're close enough, second place coming into the final corner, get a healthy dose of slipstream up through turn 14 and into 15. You can pounce and potentially cross the line in P1 as Matani did yesterday. A fastest lap of the race, and Zen Matani a 2:16.602, a phenomenal lap. The only other rider in the 2:16s that time around was Farish Hafiy, so the Malaysian going great guns as well. But you can see they're all locked together now. Takehira into the lead of the race with 2 laps to go. Matani is second, Ogiwara now third. That will mean he finishes third in the overall standings, with Hafiy just keeping tabs in P4, just keeping his powder dry. As Ramadipa on the number 17, the Indonesian, has had to retire. Not sure why. Looks like a bit of a bike issue for the young Indonesian rider who's very disappointed. He was running up inside the top 6, top 7. So that's a shame for the Indonesian rider who's had a fantastic season, but that is his hopes of finishing inside the top 3 gone. So unfortunate for the Indonesian.
In towards turn 6 then. Soon we'll be heading towards the double right-hander of 7 and 8, where Ogiwara has been impressive before. This time it's Matani that takes a look up the inside and does find a way through. Ogiwara trying to hang on around the outside. He eventually has to give up, but he's got an opportunity to reply here. Down the hill we go, in towards turn 9. It is Matani that leads the way. No way through for Ogiwara, but he had a big look. In 1 lap's time, definitely there's going to be some front wheels shown into there.
A great move then from Matani. Saw Ogiwara do that a few laps ago, and he said, you know what, mate, I can do exactly the same, and pounce where Ogiwara is potentially strongest around this lap. So a great move from the champion to pass his compatriot through turn 7 and 8. Gave Ogiwara no chance of responding as well into turn 9 around the rest of the lap. But this is where it all builds up to, doesn't it? Matani leading the way, but potentially not for long. Ogiwara has bridged that gap now, and he's going to get behind the bubble, get into the slipstream, and for the penultimate time we run up into turn 15. This is a bit of a rehearsal for what can come in a lap's time. Ogiwara putting out the slipstream halfway down the straight. Fantastic run for the number 16 down into the final corner. Matani though laid on the brakes into the final corner. Is he going to get it stopped? Of course he is. Matani then, fantastic, tough to respond straight away, and he will lead us potentially onto the final lap here, the final lap of 2024 here in Malaysia. Matani, Ogiwara, Takehira and Hafiy all in with the shout of victory.
Hafiy at the moment is just looking like he's trying his best just to stay with him as the pace has increased at the front, as Ogiwara now takes control of the race as we go in towards the opening corner on this final lap. All year long, Zen Matani's strength has been under braking. Nobody has been able to outbrake the number 2, and when we get into that final sector, when it's all about who can be the latest of the hard breakers, you'd have to say he's the big favourite on this final lap. First passing opportunity coming up here for Matani, up the hill towards turn 4.
Here we go then, up the inside. This is what he did on lap 1 yesterday. He's done it on the final lap here today on the same rider. Ogiwara demoted to P2 up at turn 4. So the first move has come from Matani, but look at them all locked together. Takehira has his sights set on his chief championship rival. Ogiwara, the race for P2, still races on in championship, but it's all about trying to win here in Malaysia. This is where Ogiwara is strong. Coming up to turn 7 and 8. Can the number 16 get a good run through here? He was early on the brake stage, going to try and get a good slingshot through turn 8. Here we go then, down into turn 9. A passing manoeuvre. Matani's gone defensive though on the inside as Ogiwara, that's close. Takehira's going to look up the inside. He overtakes Ogiwara into P2. So Ogiwara threatening to take the race lead is now down into P3.
And now suddenly Ogiwara's plans are completely out of the window. He needs to find a response on Takehira, not only to try and secure second in the cup standings, but to try and take victory here. We're edging ever closer towards this final sector, and once again as we get there, it is Zen Matani that leads the way. Can either of his compatriots behind stop him from a 7th win this year? Takehira best placed, looking up the inside into the penultimate corner, but no way through. It's going to be the run down to turn 15, as we see so often here at Sepang. Matani versus Takehira versus Ogiwara versus Hafiy. Who is it going to be?
It's all about the run then, down into turn 15, the final corner. The top 3 locked together. Matani keeping the defensive line, but you've got to come across to try and not compromise your exit. Takehira on the inside, the number 9. Is he going to get it stopped? Matani though gets the cut back. That's fantastic stuff. Takehira runs wide. He's potentially going to lose a podium. Ogiwara comes through, but again for the 7th time in 2024 it is magical Matani who wins. The champion prevails once again. Ogiwara takes second place to claim second overall in the championship standings. Takehira just beats the Malaysian Hafiy to the line by 7 thousandths of a second, so the Malaysian just misses out on a dream home podium once again. What a race. It all came down to the final corner once again, and for the 7th time in 2024 it is the champion, the number 2, played it to perfection. Zen Matani is a winner once again, caps his fantastic season off with a victory. Phenomenal stuff from Matani.
Once again, nobody can outbreak Zen Matani. Takehira tried to do it, left it as late as possible, but couldn't get it stopped. Matani saw it coming, had him on the cutback, and that is victory number 7. They threw everything at him, but as we've seen throughout 2024, the champion always has an answer. Victory 7, a deserving champion and a deserving way to round out what has been a spectacular year for the Japanese rider.
Yeah, that was special. Hopefully we get a replay down at the final corner in that victory fight, and there has obviously been some drama at the final corner as well. Here we go then, in the fight for the top 10 places. Just got a little bit too close for comfort there. And that was the number 5 of Pratumtong crashing, the number 23 of Tanashot as well, number 12 of Ricky Henry unfortunately going down at the final corner as well. Thankfully it looks like all the riders are okay. It's a tricky corner to get right, especially coming on to the final lap. Everyone jostling for the same piece of tarmac. But what more can we say about Matani? Played it once again to perfection at that final corner, was late on the brakes, held the inside line, didn't give his rivals much of a chance to try and get up the inside. Got the job done through the mid-corner and on the exit, and powered his way to a 7th win by nearly 0.2 of a second.
And I have to say, Elliot, my heart goes out to Farish Hafiy, who I was watching him go elbow to elbow, handlebar to handlebar with Takahira out of the final corner. If he could have leant across and grabbed hold of the number 19 and stopped him from getting the slipstream and the run towards the line, he would have done so. He was trying his level best to try and get that home podium, and he's missed out by 7/1000ths of a second. He's going to be crestfallen. He was desperately trying to stop Takahira from beating him to the line. If that line would have come just a metre earlier, it would have been home heroics, but unfortunately it's 4th place for Hafiy. My heart goes out to him.
Yeah, gut-wrenching for Hafiy. 7/1000ths of a second, as you say, trying to get the run out of the final corner. You're doing all you can, click it through the gears as best you can. You can do no more though. Seeing a rider come, not storming past you, just creeping towards the line, trying desperately to claim that podium. It must be such a heartbreaking feeling. 7/1000ths of a second, it does not get much closer than that.
You could see him tucked in, everything, trying to stop Takahira from going, and he glanced over to his right-hand side, and I'm sure he was going, no, 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 before he just beat him to the line. Oh, if the ATC guys have a heart, there he is. Oh, there's going to be tears in the commentary box. 4th, he says. It's only 4th, and the marshals tell him, you were so close, mate. Oh, dearie me. Oh, tears for Farish Hafiy. Oh, my heart is breaking for him. Please, can we just let him go on the podium anyway? What an effort it was from Farish Hafiy. Oh, I thought he'd be gutted, and already tears on the cool-down lap to have missed out on a podium finish on home soil. Dearie me. Farish, you're a podium man in my eyes and in my heart.
Yeah, exactly. Shame to see, really is. Obviously gutted for Farish Hafiy. As I say, 7/1000ths of a second. It really doesn't get much closer than that. And he was in the fight throughout, and obviously yesterday through no fault of his own, after missing out on the podium fight. Here it is, Jack. Matani Ogiwara clearing P1 and P2, and the elbows out on the run to the line.
1, 2,
Click
3.
it through the gears. The line just didn't come soon enough for the number 19 of Hafiy. You can see there, absolutely crestfallen as he crosses his line. He knew that he'd just been pipped to the post by Takahira. Another Japanese 1, 2, 3 here in Malaysia, and that is sad to see, unfortunately, for Hafiy. But unfortunately, that is racing, and that's how close it is in the Asia Talent Cup. Unfortunately, no podium for Hafiy to finish his season on a high. Did, of course, finish on the podium in Malaysia a few rounds ago, but was desperate to finish on the podium one more time in 2024. Hopefully, he'll see the good in finishing a close P4, but it's going to take a little bit of time, I think.
You know me, Elliot, I like to get the rumours going. I've just seen Davide Brivio down there in Parc Fermé. Potentially, they already have one Japanese rider making their way across to Trackhouse Racing next year. There he is, Brivio, in the centre of the shot. Has he got his eye on another Japanese superstar in Zen Matani? Watch this space, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, Jack Appleyard starting the rumours once again. Colour me surprised. Zen Matani, I think he's impressing everyone in this paddock, and it's hard not to be impressed, Jack. The likes of Davide Brivio, hugely experienced man in this championship, of course brought Rossi to fame, and is Zen Matani going to follow in the footsteps, not of Valentino Rossi. Don't want to put that pressure on Zen's shoulders, but if he can climb the road to MotoGP ladder, which I'm sure he will, we'll be seeing him in the Grand Prix paddock in no time. So here's your final results then for the final round of 2024. Matani wins again from Ogiwara and Takahira. That means Ogiwara does take P2 overall in the championship from Takahira in third place. So your top three in the championship finish 1, 2, 3 in the final race of 2024. Hafiy, as we mentioned, gut-wrenching to finish just off the podium in P4. Ikegami was a couple of seconds away from the top four, in P5. Ikegami, the rookie, a very, very strong season indeed for the young Japanese rider. Singapong finished in P6, Dakigan in P7, Russo 8th, Zakwan in P9, and another Japanese rookie, P10 for Rintaro Takamoto. Chaban Pratumtong, the wildcard rider, Brumpawes, Nakib and Dave are your final point scorers in the final race. And here is your Riders' Championship then, 80 points in hand for Zen Matani, a worthy champion in 2024. Congratulations once again to Zen. Ogiwara, you can see there in the last race, pips Takahira's pocket to P2. Fantastic stuff from the Japanese riders. They'll be disappointed to miss out on a championship challenge, of course, but a fantastic season nonetheless for the three Japanese riders. Ramadipa just clings on to P4 in the overall standings on 142 points, despite the Indonesian rider unfortunately having to retire through some form of issue with a couple of laps to go. Ikegami, the rookie, as I say, a fantastic season for Seiru Ikegami. The Japanese rider finishes P5 overall with Singapong in 6th. Hafiy holds on to P7 with Takamoto, the rookie, in P8. Dakigan and Schmidt, 11 on points with his compatriot Russo in P10 and P11 respectively. As we take a look at the final corner, once again Takahira tried his best to cling on to that podium and victory hopes and finishing second in the championship. Matani, though, a master of the arts in 2024, crosses the line in P1 by Asia Talent Cup standards, a very big margin, nearly 0.2 of a second. We've not seen that very often in 2024. Ogiwara, Takahira and Hafiy there on the run to the line, just missing out.
I've just had an idea, Elliot. I'm going to go into Kuala Lumpur tonight and I'm going to purchase a nice little trophy in Chinatown, and I'm going to hand it to Farish Hafiy himself to say, although you might not have finished on the podium here in Sepang, but in the commentary box's eyes, 4th place today, good enough for a trophy.
I might come with you, mate.
You're more than welcome to.
Thank you. Yeah, really gutting for Hafiy. But what more can we say about the top three? Zen Matani, Ogiwara and Takahira.
Yeah, what a crop of Japanese stars we've had this year. In 2023, the series dominated by Indonesia. We heard that national anthem every single weekend, we felt. But this year it's been the turn of Japan. What a year for Japan in terms of Grand Prix motorcycle racing. A first World Championship in 15 years, courtesy of former ATC star Ai Ogura. And now they have dominated the class this year. So often we've seen the Japanese flag flying high in 1st, 2nd and 3rd. They've locked out the podium so often. This is a real crop of superstars. And even the boss himself, Carmelo Espeleta, handing out the awards on the final podium of the year, recognising that these guys are the stars of the future.
10th anniversary of the Asia Talent Cup, of course, this year as well. As Jack says, we're seeing the fruits of the labour of the Asia Talent Cup. Songkiat Chantra and Igor are moving up to MotoGP. They were at the end of season awards yesterday with Dorna Management and everyone involved in the Asia Talent Cup. A lot of hard work goes into making this series one of the best around. Zen Matani lifts the Race Winners' Trophy for the 7th time this year, and for the 7th time, it's the national anthem of Japan that rings around for Zen Matani.
Once again,
Congratulations then to all three of the podium finishers, Matani, Ogiwara and Takeru, your top three in the championship standings as well. Matani joins Toba, Sasaki Chantra, Denny Sonchu, Bill Van Erde, Sho Nishimura, Tayo Furusato, Hakim Danish and Veda Pratama as an Asia Talent Cup champion. What a way to celebrate the 10th year of the ATC. And now a long winter break lies ahead before 2025 gets underway. Here is the highlights then for the final race of 2024. And once again, like he did in race 1, the number 16 of Ogiwara got a fantastic launch from the middle of the front row and comfortably led into the first corner as Matani got swallowed up down into turn 1 from pole position. But as we've seen so often in 2024, it didn't take long for Matani to get into a rhythm and respond. Started picking the riders off one by one. That was him overtaking Ogiwara up at turn 7 and 8. But quickly a top 4 formed at the front and we were treated to another fascinating podium fight in the Asia Talent Cup. All 4 riders led at times. Takeru on the number 9, Ogiwara, Matani of course the champion on the number 2 and the home hero Farish Hafiy, and it all came down to the final corner. Takeru got it a little bit wrong, tried to be last of the late breakers and got it out of shape going into the final corner. Matani got the cutback and won for the 7th time on the number 2. Ogiwara was 2nd, Takeru 3rd and Hafiy 4th. But that is it for Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup action. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you in 2025. Congratulations once again to Zen Matani. Enjoy Grand Prix race day here in Malaysia and see you soon.